Hello, my friends. Today we're learning over Mציעא Daf Yud Ches. We're starting Yud Zayin from the Mishnah at the bottom. It says the Mishnah, "V'chein beis habad." A beis habad is a place where you press olives to make oil. Shoyu bonui basela. So you have a big rock and you dig into that rock, or naturally from nature it's like that. It's like a type of cave, and you have over there an olive press. And on the roof of that is a small garden. And Rashi explains that it belonged to one person and he passed away, and one son got the olive press and one got the garden. And now the roof fell in a bit. It's a similar case to what we learned before about the tenant upstairs that the ceiling went through. Aryeh balagino. The person from the garden that has less space now, he can't grow his vegetables anymore, he can plant down in the cave, in the Beis Habad. Until the son who got the olive press, he builds kifim. Kifim is like arches to support the roof on top, that he could build his garden back again. A koisel, a wall, Va'ilon, and a tree that fell from a private property into a public property, and caused damage. Is part from praying. If they realize that his tree is going to fall down, and they gave him a time, Besdin told him, you need to cut off your tree. It's on the tree. It's a koisel or break down the dangerous wall. And it fell. So it depends. Before the time came that they gave him a time limited that the job should done by them, potter. After the time, chayev, he has to pay. Another case, someone had his wall next to the garden of his friend, and the wall fell into his friend's garden. The person who the stones fell into his garden told the person who owned the wall, please clear your stones of the wall that fell into my garden. And the person who owned the stones, who owned the wall, tells the person who the stones fell into the garden, it's yours, take them, and you clear them out. You can't force him to do that. The person could say, no, I don't want your stones, please clear them out. If he accepted already to take the stones, and he said, yeah, okay, I'll keep the stones for myself. And then the one who used to own the wall says, take what you invested to clear the stones and make them into a nice pile, or move them away from here, and I want the stones back. You don't listen to him, and we say the stones belong to the person who fell into his garden. Someone who rented a worker to do with him in the hay and cash animal food, and when it came time to pay for the job, he says, "Tenis chori, can I have my wages?" I owe you £100. Take hay worth £100, or take. We don't listen to him. The person could say, "I want money." If the worker said, "You know what? I'll take the hay." And then afterwards he told him, "Take, let me pay you £100. I need to and let me have the hay and the straw." We don't listen to him. The person can keep the hay. Said the Gemara, so by a bais value, we had the machlokes, how much did the wall ceiling fall in? We have the same machlokes over here about the Beis Habad and the Gila that's on top of it. Rav Omar Baruba, most of it, V'Shmuel Omar Ba'arba, 4 tfachim. Rav Omar Baruba, Aval Ba'arba, no, why? Because Odon Zerech Hetzilemato, you could do a little bit, the little hole that's fallen in, plant that part downstairs, V'Chetzilemalo, and the rest upstairs on the roof. V'Shmuel Omar Ba'arba, no, only 4 tfachim. Why? Because Ein Odon Zerech Hetzilemato V'Chetzilemalo, and therefore once I can't do in my whole garden, he has the right to do it in the Beis Habad. We need this machlokes of Rabbi Shmuel over here, and also over there about the bais valia. Diashmin and Dira, only about the bais valia. Bahaka Omar Shmuel. There Shmuel said that the din is they need 4. Mishum de lo yavid inchi de dar purta acha. That's why already from 4 you say that he could move down. Because a person doesn't normally live upstairs and downstairs, so 4 already the big enough amount they could move downstairs. When it comes to planting, many people, when you have terraces like one on top of each other, a funny type of shaped garden, you grow a little bit here, a little bit there. So it's normal. So L'chora, you could say maybe he'll be moided to Shmuel in the case of planting, in the case of if you'd say only Dura, you'd say in the case of planting grapes, moida. Sorry, Shmuel's moida that you only beruba you could move down into the Beis Abad. Emo moida lelera. Ve'it ma baroch. If you'd say only the case of our case at Somat the Gino, that's what Rav said you need beruba because it's normal for a person to plant a little bit here and a little bit there. Aval Behar, in the case of Dira, maybe it'll be moida lishmuel that Ba'arba already could move down. Tzricha, that's why you need Rav Shmuel's machlokes in both cases. They gave him a time to cut down the tree or take the wall away that's falling down. The Kamazman Bezdin, how much time the Bezdin give normally a person to do such a thing? Amar Rabbi Yechanan, 30 days. Misha Koisloi, we learned in the Mishnah that someone's Koisel was next to his friend's Koisel, and he wants to tell him, keep the stones, I'm not clearing them out. Said the Gemara on that, Homidik Doni Seifa, since it said in the case, in the continuation, he tells him, take the stones, and the guy accepts the stones, and then he says, I'm going to pay you for what you invested to clear them out. So it means, if he has to pay him, Michlal de Paninu Askin, and they already cleared them up already. Tama de Paninu, it's Mashma Dafka, because he was Mefiner it already. Holoi Pininu, if he never cleared them out yet, the stones are exactly in the place where they fell, Loi, he could say, no, I want it back. I want the stones back. Am I particularly said it's in the other person's garden? The soda should be koine him. For sure here they knows about and wants to be koina. So that's when the person's mechaven to be makne to him, when the person wants to give it to you or it's hefka. Aval hocha, over here, when the guy says, take the stones and I'm not clearing them out for you and the stones are yours, all he means is, I'm going to do it tomorrow. It doesn't really mean to be makner. If afterwards he comes and says, I want it back, he never meant to give it to you as a present. Only once he started doing work and he still didn't say anything, then it really becomes Baal Agina. Why do we need the same similar machlokes din also about the din of someone who his stones fell into the other person's chotza, and also the din of someone who's telling his poyel, instead of paying you wages, take what you did for your job, for your payment. If we would say only the first case with the wall stone, and he'd say, if he says, take it, you can't force him to take it, the less they aggregate, because he doesn't owe the other person, his neighbor, any money. So why should the other person accept these stones? You can't force it on him. But over here, the aggregate that this person owes him wages, maybe he can pay that. He owes money, so I don't have money to pay. I'm paying you with what you did the teven and cash, and take it. That's why we need this case to tell you that even here we don't listen to him. And why would you think you'd listen to him? The people say, for someone who owes you money, take anything you could take as payment. So maybe you should accept it. And therefore, know that you can't force him to accept it. If you tell me only the second case about Poyer, that if the worker said, okay, I'll take out my wages, and now he wants it back, you don't give it to him back. Because he owes the money, so he was koina what he owes to him. He owes the money. By the case of the wall that fell into his friend's, in his neighbor's property, the less aggregate that he doesn't owe him anything. Maybe we're going to listen to him, and he can have his rocks back because he never really meant to give it to his neighbor. That's why we need the Mishnah to tell you both cases. We learned in the Mishnah, Ein Shoymim Loi. Tzedek Gemara about Tanya Shoymim Loi. We have a brayso that says you do listen to him. And this is going on that in a case where you told the poet, take what you want, instead of me paying you wages, take the hay. So in our mission it says you can't force a poet, and in the Bryce it says you do listen to him. It's not steer. In the mission, it's talking about where he took him his pearl to work in his own field. In the Bryce, it's talking about where he took him to work in someone else's field. Says the Gemara, if it's your field that you belong to, my timer, what's the reason that you can't give him hay? We agreed on cash. Give me cash. You owe me wages. Also, by he showed him to work in his friend's field, he's still responsible to pay the wages. The Tanya we learned earlier, someone who rents a worker to do it, and it doesn't come work in my property, and he shows us his friend property, he has to pay him his full wages they agreed on. And then the choice of an item balabais, so he could go back to the owner of of his friend that he made him annul what the worker worked, and he could charge him for the annul that he gained him. But his responsibility is to pay the wages. So if it's his responsibility, why could he say take the hay? What's the difference? And Rav Nachman loy kasha. I'll tell you different words. Kan b'sheloi, kan b'shel hefka. In the Mishnah, talking about what he came to do in his own field or his friend's field. In the case where the Brisa says that you listen to him, he's doing in the hefka. That means he rented him to come collect hay from a land that doesn't belong to anyone, and it's hefka. And Rashi explains that why shoym loy the Amalei kone beat, you be koiner it, because I wasn't koiner. Because Rav Nachman holds that if I pick up a mitzvah of someone else, he's not koiner it. It comes out, he doesn't have to pay him his wages. And it's different from the other case where it's talking about b'shel chavero, when it's talking about the case where he's showing him to work in his friend's field. Over there you can't say that go you be zoichen it, because it belongs to his friend. If he didn't say that the schar balabais will pay you al korcho schar love, he needs to pay him. Aval hoche no, because he made him work in hefka. Rav asked the Kasha Rav Nachman, you are telling me that the poil is not koine for balabais because it's a mitzvah, because I'm be a mitzvah chaveroi. Lo yikon chaveroi, but yet poil is like balabais himself. And let's see, where do we see this? Rav Nachman, it says mitzvah's poil atzmo, if a worker found in his day job, he found a finding that's hefka, amos latzmo, it belongs to him. Amosai, when is that? If the landlord, his boss told him, come work on a specific job, so he never told him to find mitzvah, so finding the mitzvah is for his own benefit. It goes to him. If he told him, do me a job today, and didn't tell him what job, so anything he does, it's for the balabais, and therefore mitzvah, so he was finding the balabais. So we could see the mitzvah of a poel goes to balabais, because the other had balabais. So how's Rav Nachman saying this pearl is not koina for this other person who told him to come do the job? And Rav Nachman loy kasher, come back, our Mishnah, both are talking about hefka. But one is talking about Akbar, where the job was to pick it up. So when he picks it up, he's actually koiner it for his boss. Come back, water here only to move it around or something. And therefore he's not koiner it, because he doesn't do a kinyan. And therefore you can tell him, listen, you did your work, go take your wages from where you did the work, you be koiner it. Omar Rabba, avota be'efka tanoi. It's a machlokes tanoim if looking in hefka and wanting to be koiner, is it koiner the hefka or not? Etnan, we learned in the Mishnah, shomeris sfiche shviz, people who are guarding. Sfiche shviz is what grows in shviz naturally without planting it, and they are guarding it for korban oima or korban shtei lechem, and they're guarding it for hekdesh for the Beis Hamikdash. Noitlim schor mit trumas alishko. Tanakama says they get paid the wages from hekdesh, from trumas alishko, what's paid for workers to do the work for Beis Hamikdash, etc. Rabbi Yossi Oima no. The one who wants to do, he could do it to volunteer work. And if he messes up, it's a shem because it's not getting paid for guarding these fichim. Omruloi, so Tanakama Chachomim told Rabbi Yossi, can you say so? It comes out that the Oima and Shtei Lechem don't come Mishul Tzibur, because they hold, Tanakama holds, we're going to see that looking at Avota Behefka is Koina, and therefore these workers who are guarding it, and they're looking at it all the time, and they have Kavona. So he's Koina with looking at it. And it's Nishmal Yodoi, and therefore it becomes his if he doesn't get paid. And once it becomes his, when he gives it to Hekdesh, when the Hekdesh collect it, when the Beis HaMikdash, when they go collect it to make Shtei Lechem and Korban Oima, it's coming from these people who are guarding it. It doesn't belong to the whole tzibur. So now the Gemara is going to explain a few ways how to understand the Machlokes Rabbi Yossi and Rabbanon. So Rabba says, my love, this is a Machlokes. Tanakama Sova Avot Behefka Koine. Like when looking at the Hefka Yokoina V'Yo V'Le'Agra, and if you pay them wages, it's good because then they're looking on their koina for hektish and they're coming Mr. Tzibur. It's a problem. Rabbi Yossi saw about the hefka loy koni. Looking at hefka is not kinyan. V'chioz l'tzibur ma'isi. So this guy, these shomim were only looking at it. They never did a kinyan. And now when the tzibur come to collect it to bring shtei lechem and oima, ashto to kozochi bei. Now there's oichet for the whole Klal Yisrael. Ma toime. What's pshat in what Tanakama told Rabbi Yossi? Achi karmelei. Midvarecha, from where you hold that you don't pay them, Lidvarenu, that we say that you're koina by looking at something that's hefka, so therefore it belongs to these private shoimrim. Ein oimer v'shtei lechem, boy mishel tzibur. The oimer shtei lechem is coming from these gods, but not from the whole Klal Yisrael. Omer Rava says no. Look, the kula alma we could say about the behefka koni. Everyone agrees that looking at hefka is koina. So what's a machlokes? The chashash is maybe when he gives it over to the tzibur, he's not giving it in a full heart everything, and therefore it's coming only from him. You pay him wages. If not, maybe he's not giving it over to hekdesh and it's not by mishul tzibur. We're not choishes that these gods won't pass it over to the tzibur full-hearted. What did Rabbanon tell Rabbi Yossi? This is what you told them. It's Varecho, from what you were saying, that you don't pay them wages. What we hold, that what? That we have a chashash that these gods are not going to give it over to Hekdesh full-hearted. Works out that the Korban Oima and Shtei Lechem, it's coming from these gods, that they still own it. Some people say Rav Omar the opposite. The kula alma about the hefka loy koni. Bein Rabbi Yossi ben Tanakama hold that looking at hefka is not koina hefka. The hocha the shaila is the chashina barazrois kumifgi. All choishes for strong people who are going to grab it away and take it away and use it themselves. The Tanakama saw that kinu le'arbonon le'meisav le'arbe zuzei, that the koina was to give full zuz to the shomrim ke'ichid lishmur barazrois, that the tough mafia people are going to hear that this is going for Korban Alechem and for the Oima for the Beis HaMikdash. And they're not going to touch that area. Rabbi Yossi holds, no, there's no such a takana. Said the Gemara Kufyut Chesed on base. What do they mean? What did Tanakama tell Rabbi Yossi? Achi karmelei. Midvarecho lidvarenu, from what you hold that you don't pay him, to what we hold that we're choishes shabal izrois. In boy mishul tzibur. So here it means a bit different to what we said before. Here it means not that the oimer and shtei lechem are not coming from tzibur, because they deserve do the takana to get 4 zuz, these gods, and they didn't get these 4 zuz. So if these 4 zuz that these gods are moichel and are sitting in hekdesh have a stronger shaykhs to these people than the whole Klal Yisrael, and therefore it's not called mishul tzibur. V'chein ki osa Rabin. Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbin came and said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Choshen Balas Rois, the Machlokes to Rabbi Yossi and Tanakama, all Choshesh for the mafia people to steal this wheat and barley. I think it comes from wheat and barley, if I'm not mistaken. So it comes out that the last pshat, the Ein Boy Mishel Tzibur, we're not talking about Oimer V'Shtei Lechem, we're talking about the other korbanos tzibur, because the money that's left in the lishka. Said the Mishnah, someone who takes out minor to public place. So the one who takes out from where the cows live and he takes out their waste, takes out Rishus Rabim. The one who's going to collect it to put it in his fields, Mizabel has to straight away take it away from there. He can't leave in Rishus Rabim. Continue the Mishnah. Ain't sure in tit Rishus Rabim. You're not allowed to, when you make like cement, you're not allowed to. You'd mix, do a mix, and then you'd leave it in one place for a long time. You're not allowed to leave that in Rishus Rabim when you're making cement. And when they used to make bricks, I think it's called earth bricks. They used to like compress earth with other things and make it like in a square, and then they dry it out for a long time, and then they use it as bricks. So you're not allowed to make bricks in Rishus Rabim. Just to mix the cement, to put it straight away in the building, no problem. So your Rashash is goes lelevenim, but you're not allowed to make cement for levenim because it's a much bigger job. Someone's building a house and his house is next to Rishus Rabim, so he has to stand in Rishus Rabim. Maybe the one who brings the stone brings them. And the builder builds them. Straight away, you're not allowed to leave it within Rishus Rabim. If you cause damage, you have to pay what the damage you've caused. So we learned here two dinim. First din is that you're not allowed to leave in Rishus Rabim, you have to do it straight away. And second of all, if you did cause damage, you need to pay the damage you've caused. Reb Shimon Gamliel Oima, he argues on both points. He says, first of all, 30 days before he starts his building, he could prepare the area in Rishus Rabim for his building works and leave their stuff. And second of all, if he caused damage, he doesn't need to pay. That's what Rashi explains. Our Mishnah does not fit in like Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya we learned in the Brayso, Rabbi Yehuda Oima b'shas yitzos volim, in the time of year where people take out the zevel to Rishus Rabim, or the moitzis volim Rishus Rabim, a person takes out the zevel to a public place with tzover kol shloshim yom, and he puts on a pile for 30 days, that should be stepped on, that people and animals should step on it, and it's good for it. That when Yeshua gave Klal Yisrael the Eretz Yisrael, he gave it to us, a menas, and we're allowed to do that in Rishus Rabim. Said the Gemara, Afilu Teimer Rabbi Yehuda. You could say really, so in our Mishnah it says that you're not allowed to leave it. And we understand that, and in the Mishnah says that you cause damage, you need to pay. Here you say you're allowed to leave, and we understand that you don't need to pay the damage. So the Gemara Afilu Teimer Rabbi Yehuda, now our Mishnah could fit in like Rabbi Yehuda. Moed Rabbi Yehuda shenizik chayav l'shalem. Rabbi Yehuda says you're allowed to take it out, but if you cause damage, you need to pay, and therefore it fits in like the Mishnah. It says the Gemara Vatnan. By the way, when it says Tzover kol shloshim yom, I forgot Rashi explains that means once in 30 days you pile it up again, that it should be in a pile. That should be stepped on good. And now that we're saying that this is pshat in the Mishnah, like Rabbi Yehuda, we're saying that the Mishnah doesn't mean to say that you need to leave it, you're not allowed to leave in Rishus Rabim. When it says Amoitzi zevel Rishus Rabim, moitzi, and I explained that it means straight away and you're not allowed to leave it, then no, really the Mishnah is just telling you it's a toiva, don't do that because you'll have to pay if you leave it there, if you cause damage. And therefore our Mishnah could fit in like Rabbi Yehuda. Said the Gemara about Nan, Rabbi Yehuda Oima, I'm reading like the Bach, Rabbi Yehuda Oima, B'nei Chanukah Poto, that if you left the candle outside in Ner Chanukah and you caused damage in Rishus Rabim, you potter. And why? Shu potter, Moed Rabbi Yehuda B'nei Chanukah Shu potter, Fnei Shoyse B'Rishus, because it's with permission. My love, what does it mean? Permission, it means Rishus the Bezdin, because you have permission of Bezdin. See, and therefore he's potter. So if you have a Rishus of Bezdin, by Ner Chanukah you potter. So also here, if you're allowed to leave the Zevel 30 days in Rishus Rabim, Yeshua gave Eretz Yisrael al Dasat, so why you have to pay? Elamai must be, you're not chayav to pay. And therefore, it can't be our Mishnah's Rabbi Yehuda. So the Gemara lo, Rishus the mitzvah. By Ner Chanukah, it's not Rishus a permission of Bezdin. It means a permission because there's the mitzvah involved. And that's why you potter to pay. But here that's only Rishus, you're allowed to, but there's no mitzvah involved. For sure, if you damage, you need to pay, and therefore our Mishnah could fit in like Rabbi Yehuda. So the Gemara about Tani, we learned in the Brisa, all the cases that we said, Mutar Mikalka Rishus Rabim, that you're allowed to cause damage in Rishus Rabim, a problem of Ezek, that maybe someone will trip or something. All those cases, in Ezek, if you cause damage, Chayav L'Shalem, you need to pay. Rabbi Yehuda argues and says, no, if you're allowed to put something in Rishus Rabim, if you cause damage, you don't have to pay. So it says clearly that, and before it said clearly that Rabbi Yehuda says you're allowed to put it for 30 days, so for sure you don't have to pay if you cause damage. Our Mishnah can't be Rabbi Yehuda. So the Gemara, the truth is, Masnisin, our Mishnah, the Loik Rabbi Yehuda does not fit in like the Heilige Tana Rabbi Yehuda. So the Gemara, Omar Abai, Rabbi Yehuda, that we just had, Rab Shimon Gamliel, in our Mishnah, Rab Shimon, that we're going to see all these things, Kulis Spirilu, they all hold, Kol Mokum Shinopnu Chachom Rishus, any time where Chachom give you permission to do something, B'Izik, and he caused damage by doing that thing, Potter, you don't need to pay. Rabbi Yehuda hold our moron clearly that if you have Rishus, you don't need to pay. Rab Shimon Gamliel, that none Rab Shimon Gamliel in our Mishnah says, Af Metakenu is Melachto, you're allowed to prepare his work with Nei Shloshim Yom, 30 days before you're starting your building work. And we explain that if you damage, you don't need to pay. Rab Shimon, what's Rab Shimon? That none, it's in the Mishnah, Oya Ma'amidoi Ba'aliyah, if you put the oven in the attic, the person has to have underneath the oven, Ma'aziva, plaster, Shlosha Tfachim, the thickness of 3 Tfachim. Ubakira, that's a smaller type of oven, it's enough only a tefach of plaster. And said the Mishnah, that's a chiyuv to keep away that you shouldn't cause damage for the downstairs tenant. V'inizik, but if you still cause damage, Mishal Mashizik, you have to pay for the damage you caused. And Rab Shimon Oima lo ya'amru, kol ashirim alo le'vishurim, how much archaka you need to do is elo, is only 4 shimizik, that if you cause damage after you did this archaka, potum el shalim, you don't need to pay. We could see all these 3 Heilige Tanoim hold that if you have a rishus to do something, it means that if you're mazik, you don't need to pay. Toner Rabbanon learned the chatzel, the miner of rock from the quarry. Shemosa lasatos, they gave to the stone maker who makes it flat and square. And it's talking about, we're going to see that they're all like a company, a building, that they're all partners in this building and they get paid by the job. And so he dug it out of the quarry, this rock, and he gave it over to the Satos. And now the Satos, it fell off his hand and he broke the rock or he caused damage to someone. Who has to pay that? A Satos Chayev, the brick maker, needs to pay. A Satos Shemos Alachamo, the Satos, the one who makes the bricks, he gave it over to the delivery guy with the donkey, and now it caused damage. A chamor chayav, the chamor needs to pay for the damage or for the hezek of the stone. Now a chamor, the donkey delivery, shemos alakatov to the porter to take it into the job site. A katov chayav, the porter needs to pay for damage to the stone or damage to others. A katov shemos alabanai, the katov gave it over to the builder. So Abano Chayav, the builder's Chayav now. Abano Shemos al Adrichal, the builder who gave it to the Adrichal. The Adrichal is the one who actually puts it on the layer of bricks, on the wall of stones, and he puts it in the exactly right position. Adrichal in Hebrew is like an architect. So you see in the Gemara it meant a bit different, but it's also a type of architect because he knows exactly how to put these stones. Adrichal Chayav. Being even aladimo is basically put this stone onto the wall, and it's now sitting on the wall. Ve'ziko, and it fell and it caused damage. Now they all have to pay because it's already not his groma. It's already the all achrei that this job should be done properly. Correct the Gemara of Atani. We learned in a different price. That only the Adrichal's chayav, the Kulam Purim, and all the people before him are potter, even though that it was magic after he put down the stone nicely on the wall. So the Gemara loy kasha, it's not kasha. Can be schirus, can be kablonus. One is talking about schirus. One is talking about where he's getting paid by the hour. So each one's separate. Each one's a different guy. So each one finishes his job and it's nothing to do with it anymore. One's the miner passes over to the satos, it's not his responsibility anymore. When we said that the all chayav, once he put it on the wall, it's talking about the kaplonos, where they're all like together in this job, and therefore they're all chayav to make sure that this wall should stand. And if it fell after they put it on, they're all chayav. Thank you very much. Big honor tomorrow, but it's a shame lots of people are going to finish on Mציעא. It's very, very exciting. We'll be zoicha to remember these tomorrows and learn them again and reclaim them. Go ahead.